Welcome to Sun Coaches Podcast, Season 9, brought to you by ScoreboardFundraising.com. And if your athletic department has any fundraising needs, make sure you reach out to ScoreboardFundraising.com and see what they can do to help you. As always, first of the week, I'm joined by the one, the only, the incomparable Executive Director of the Georgia Fire Coaches Association, Coach Ed Gafka. Thanks for being on with me.
Happy to be here, and my well wishes to those in Lee County and all their love and support.
Absolutely, the East Blast, capital of the state of Georgia. Such a intelligent decision made by the people who got up and voted. And if you didn't exercise your constitutional right to gripe, then you have no one to blame but yourself. If you feel opposite of the way things fell, it's always up to you to go out and voice your displeasure. And speaking of displeasure, summer started today. Summer workouts across the state of Georgia. Those that are going 4 days a week or that are going the Monday, Tuesday, Thursday model, they fired it up today, and I'm sure that morale is high. People are excited. Everybody's got a chance to win the state championship. Not really, but they can believe that they do in every classification across our great peach state of Georgia. And Coach, I know you had an article you wrote the other day about some of the greatest excuses ever recorded for why I can't make summer practice.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, anytime I've sent out like, "Hey, need your help," send your submissions, and I get a better response than I expect. But this one kind of blew it out of the water. I mean, I still have messages that I haven't even been able to get to because of how. I mean, I probably had got over 200 submissions of situations. So thanks again to everybody for their participation. But I got to tell you, we've all heard our fair share of these, and to be honest with you, I was shocked at I mean, I was shocked at a lot at them. But I got to be honest with you, the mispractice to get closer to God has got to be a distant cousin of mine of some kind because I think that's just, I mean, that's outstanding. Because what are they going to say to that, right? Like, I got to get closer to God, man. I can't get closer to God in this weight room. All right, I need to get closer to God, in the chapel or whatever. I mean, heck, what would Josh and them would do, right? I wear that, EWJN wristband daily. He wouldn't be able to. He wouldn't be able to tell you can't do that. So, I mean, I do find it funny that later that same player did come up and say he was quitting football so he could focus on his full-time career as a YouTuber. So that kind of tracks. But no, I mean, Coach, what were some of the ones that you liked the most?
Had to go to sailing camp. That was a good one. He had to be a kicker, I hope.
Yeah.
The horoscope, Mercury is aligned in a certain way with Earth so that something bad's going to happen. That was fantastic. The clipping the bearded dragon's toenails, that was claws. That was fantastic. I've had got my hair done and not going to wear my helmet. So that's a definite thing that happens. Your Hall of Fame entries were great. The light coma, the 115-degree fever. Had to go get an EG. There's a rattlesnake in my house. My girlfriend has diarrhea. Now, that one was, I mean, I've had kids tell me that they weren't there because they had the doo-doo virus, but I've never had one tell me they couldn't come because their girlfriend had it. So apparently they cohabituate. They stay in the same house. I'm sorry, I said that all wrong, but they cohabitate. They stay in the same place. And apparently amongst some of our Hall of Fame parents we got out there right now, that's a thing with teenagers in some places. It wouldn't be with mine, but those are some of my favorite, Coach. So summer, you got summer going on. You got these kids come up with all this crazy stuff. And we've talked about it ad nauseum. I saw Coach Chris up at Ringgold said, how about we just make June where it's just weight training? No 7-on-7s, no OTAs, no touching nothing else. I mean, you and I both know that's never going to happen. But what did you think about that idea?
No, I mean, I think it's perfect. I think honestly, everybody's always trying to keep up with your neighbor kind of thing. Up here in North Georgia, it's, oh, well, if Buford's doing that or Grayson's doing that or, one of the big dogs are doing that, then if not, our parents are going to say, why aren't you, doing what they're doing and all this other stuff. And ultimately, I think the standard should always be the standard of, well, what's in the best interest of your program, your kids, your community. Because if you've got 35 football players, they all play 3 sports, you don't need to go to these patty camps in June. You encourage them to do those other two sports in June. And then once July clicks over, you're the focus. I'm all for it. At most, I think going 3, 4 days a week in June is plenty, and let them go and do everything they do on the weekends and have 3, 4 day weekend every day, every week in June. But I'm all for it.
Yeah, it wouldn't break my heart at all if that was what we decided to do. I just don't know that you can trust people to do. I mean, we can't trust people to go by the rules we have in place now, much less, everybody's going to feel like they're getting behind or they're missing out on something. I'm going to spring
Shit, we
this.
can't listen. We can't trust people to damn vote for East Plus, for Christ's sake. Okay, so I mean, we can't trust anybody to do anything. So, again, down there in Lee County, they're gonna try to make them not practice the entire month of June because somebody on Facebook probably told them to. So, I mean, that's what we're dealing with, though.
Well, there's definitely that, and I'm gonna spring this topic on you because I was thinking about it when you were sitting there talking, and I meant to in our pre-recording session where we get together and kind of pre-produce what we're gonna do. I saw one of our personal training recruiting guys the other day got on there, and he does a good job. He's got clientele, so I'm not gonna say anything negative about anything, but I hope that the parents listen to him more than they listen to us high school coaches. What do we know? They've been telling children for years and years and years and years, you can go to these mega camps if you want to. You can pay whatever they want you to pay if you want to, but all you're doing when you have to pay is paying a GA supplement on that coaching staff or helping that coach out. If that coach really wants you to be there and really wants to look at you, he'll make a visit, he'll pick up the phone, or they'll pay for you to come to it. You don't have to pay to show up. But the UAB camp that had 600 kids at it, I don't know how many different ways we need to tell these parents. They still think their child's getting exposure. What, by getting one rep? I mean, no, this is not how it works. And I'm glad he sat down. Maybe they'll listen to him because they don't listen to us, coach.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, I've mega camps and a lot of these are just money grabs anyway. If you're invited by that college, a coach, whatever, yeah, go compete, go do that. Now, if somebody gets to put on some elite, insert the buzzword of the week, exposure elite mini camp, combine, we're gonna get you a verified 40. If I see another video of somebody running a 40 and it's showing that kid running a 4.1 or a 4.2 and he's stomping ants, I'm gonna throw my phone through the house because it's just like take video of it on your phone and just see how long it takes that kid from the moment his first movement to when he crosses. That might be the most broken ass timer that shows him running a 4.1 or 4.2 I've ever seen. And half of them aren't even 40 yards. Like, and I digress here, but ultimately, that's what you're dealing with. You're dealing with people who are, making money off of your hopes and dreams. They're taking advantage of what you are hoping is setting them up for, hey, I want to give my kid that, mythical exposure, right? That you can't quantify it, but hey, I promise you, if you do this, we're gonna get you exposure. Okay, tell me how. Tell me what that actually looks like. Don't just say, well, we've got all these coaches coming to it. Who gives a shit who you have coming to it? Because you've got me 35 deep running an L drill and catching a ball. Cool. I mean, again, nobody, and I mean nobody that's at those none of them are going to be in a position to actually be able to offer you a scholarship right then and there. I'd be willing to bet, especially at the mega camps, especially at any elite exposure camp where you're paying $500. How about this? I'm going to have a fired coaches exposure camp, clinic, mega camp, $500. You get a t-shirt. I will tell everybody how elite you are. Okay. We'll create some Canva graphics through AI. All right. And you can post it on your Twitter page and your son's Instagram pages and all that stuff. And you can give me the $500. And here's the thing, they don't even have to show up. Just give me $500. We'll create the damn graphic for you. It's that simple. I mean, it's the same thing. It's the same exposure you're getting. I think all of those people deserve to be just kicked off the planet. They're all pieces of shit. And I got no time for it.
Yeah, that I had to turn my mic off because I was laughing so hard. the stomping ants. That was fantastic. Nice. I appreciate you providing that visual for me. It's just sad. It really is. And it's in all the sports, but I'm sorry. If that's what you think you've got to do to get your child that mythical exposure, then, we can't tell you how to parent. We can't tell you what to do with your money. But, if you want to just flush $500 down the toilet, you can send it to me and I'll be glad to invest it wisely in, you know, some ventures that we have going on, and we can make that money make money. We can make your money make money where your money ain't making no money. It's making money for those programs and those GAs, which God bless them, they need it. But that is a farce. It's the same thing with personal trainers. If not all of them, but the ones to give everybody a bad name. I worked at an academy where we ran travel baseball teams through it. If you pay me enough money, I'll tell you your child's the second coming of Chipper Jones. Don't worry about it. And we'll run some drills and we'll film them. And if you come in and tell me what they're doing wrong, I'll tell you what we can do to fix it the next time he comes in. And I got you on the hook. And then I decide, well, that boy, he looks like he could be on our elite, super duper, fantabulous. We're going to win a ring this weekend travel team. That's going to cost you this much and blah, blah, blah. You got to pay for the accommodations and the food and everything else and dot, 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 dot. And people with more money than they have sense will stroke those checks and they will keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. It's kind of like when you get the letters from the schools that want your kids roster. They send out all this stuff. I could put my 5'9", 140-pound non-athletic son's name on there, and they are going to invite him to an elite camp, coach.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. I mean, again, I'm more than happy to promote any kid that would like to push anything out to me, especially send me $500. Like you said, we'll make that thing go to work for you. Hell, got a better chance of taking that $500 heading on over to Mississippi and going over there to Vicksburg and putting that thing on a casino boat out there and just put it on red and let it ride. You double your money or you lose it. You got a better chance there of actually making a profit than you do giving some backpack wearing piece of crap coach, your money for him to give you exposure.
Ain't no doubt. And I'm gonna go ahead and do the ad read now because I know this next topic's you're gonna get on it on this. And it's a great idea. It's your transfer 3.0 rule that you just released an article on. I made sure we shared that. But hey, coaches, if your team needs to raise money, check out Scoreboard Fundraising. In the past year, they've helped more than 1,000 teams across the Southeast run simple, effective fundraisers. From popcorn to online donations. Call Mike James at 770-680-3424 or visit scoreboardfundraising.com. We know a lot of guys that are using them. They've used them in the past. There's all different kind of fundraising groups out there. If you want a group of guys that are ex-coaches, they get it. They know what we go through and has had super success. Call Mike James at 770-680-3424 with scoreboardfundraising.com and see what they can do to help you out raising money for your athletic programs. So just before we went on, you shared with me the latest article that you wrote, and it's this idea that you came up with, and it's the transfer 3.0 rule. I'd like you to kind of go over the basics. I know we won't, people are going to read it anyway, but I really like it. I thought it was a great idea, and just share with everybody your thoughts on the transfer rule, and because we are in that season.
So ultimately, and I'll speak in terms of the state of Georgia, I think one of the biggest issues is always we add more rules and things that are supposedly going to safeguard us at times and try to limit the illegal transfers from recruiting. But all it does is hurt the people that are already following the rules, and it ignores, you're not enforcing the rules that you already have in place. So why are you adding more to it? So my thought is, we always talk about student athletes and how student comes first, but where I struggle with all of this is if a kid is doing right in the classroom and has the right attendance, he has the right behavior, who are we to sit there and say that he or she can't transfer for athletic reasons? because you know as well as I do, if that kid wanted to go to a certain school because they have a bang up math department, shit, they're gonna move heaven and earth to make that happen because he's bettering himself academically. Well, why don't we couple that with the athletic piece? There's a perceived benefit to that family, that kid, to go to a different school for their athletic program, and I don't see an issue with why that should even be a problem when it comes to why somebody should move. So, what I thought was appropriate enough is, you know, if you don't make a bona fide move, right? If you are sitting, well, we'll take one of the transfers today. You've got a kid that's transferred from Buford to Grayson, right? For and quoting him here, for to continue his athletic and academic career or his journey, right? Here's the thing. Let's just hypothetically say that kid is not moving houses, right? I think it's not a far drive from Buford to Grayson, number one. But number two, why does it matter if that's what he is perceiving as a better situation for him, if that's what his family is perceiving as a better athletic situation, then in order for him to become eligible, why don't we put an academic requirement on that, which ultimately would give the motivation to the kid, to the parents, to the schools to say, hey, if you do want that freedom of mobility to a certain degree, handle your business in the classroom. Let's start teaching those skills. Let's start enforcing the things that we all preach on a day to day basis. Handle your stuff in the classroom so you can take part in athletics. But we always seem to ignore that when we start talking about the transfers and limiting the transfers. We're so damn worried about somebody, skirting the rules of some kind. Well, this again, I already had somebody say, "Oh, well, now you're going to sit there and have motivation for the registrar and the admin to maybe, improve that kid's grades or knock his grades down." Well, now you're getting into a PSC violation of the admin and registrar. I think that ultimately, the more people that you have to go through to cheat, the better it is that you're not going to have cheaters. Like, I mean, again, because, show of hands, how many registrars do you know are really concerned with the football program? Very little. Okay. And ultimately, they're not willing to lose their job to knock a kid's grade point average down. Okay. Because that, surprise, surprise, is unethical and they could get fired. And, there's a lot of things that go with that. So, I think that when you tie stuff together like that, and I get it, 3.0 in high school, again, there's probably people in Lee County that voted against East Blos that got a 3.0 in high school. It's that damn easy to do. Okay. But, there are kids that they're still hovering around at 2.8, two. I've known some great football players that are sitting there at a 2.6, 2.7, right? But, let's find a way to get them in a situation where they're going to qualify for certain scholarships just based on being above a 3.0, right? And to me, that also gets them ready for college better. It prepares them. And we're not giving a rat's ass about where kids live and all that other stuff. Now, that's to couple it with if a parent does move their child and make a bona fide move, and let's just say hypothetically they make the bona fide move, and that kid's below a 3.0. Well, he made a bona fide move, so he still gets to be eligible. So there's still that piece. I'm just saying if you really want to practice a little bit of freedom of movement here, why not tie it directly to the academics? Why not tie it to something that actually does matter when it's all said and done? And ultimately, I think that it would be at least a unique experiment to go through that because now you don't have to worry about task forces in Alabama. You don't have to worry about all these people that are just stirring shit up to stir shit up. I think that if you can make the argument, whether right, wrong, or indifferent, if they have the grades, they can have that freedom of movement. If you want to put restrictions on the amount of times that somebody can do that, I mean, I'm kind of against it just because it's none of my business. If you want to move your kid, you know, 5 times in 4 years, I mean, God bless you. Your kid's going to have the social skills of a rock. But I mean, it is what it is, and the emotional intelligence of a rock. But, that's not for me to, I can't parent your kid. You parent your kid the best way you can. Granted, there's some of you, I shudder at the fact that you procreated, but, luckily for me, I've been able to teach 95% of those. So thank you for that. But Again, I think if we can tie it back to something that motivates academically, you are killing two birds with one stone here, and you're also providing the kid an opportunity to actually have a little bit of say so. And hey, I do have the grades. I would like to go to this school if possible, if my parents can swing it. Because you're not saying you're going to send a bus to them. Not, you're not Lipscomb Academy in Tennessee trying to come down and pick up all the Pell City kids that are ruled ineligible. I mean, it's not that wild. So I do think that there's some opportunity there to at least come at it from a different way than we already have, because how we have been doing it sucks. So let's do something different.
I agree with that. And there's two other things that I'm going to say that I'll let you comment on as well. For the people that come at you about, for somebody that just said you don't care and all this other stuff, you post all this stuff. Well, here's an idea. How about you quit posting your Canva AI taking my talents in a different direction post? Nobody cares. Nobody needs to know. No, that doesn't matter to a single soul out there. You're trying to farm whatever. Guys, that number one. All right. Number two, the thing I like about your plan the most and what you said the most is quit punishing the kid for adult decisions that the kid didn't have anything to do with.
Yeah, no, sorry, I cut out. But yeah, no, and that's the thing, right? Like if you're going to right now we're in a situation where no matter what happens, right? The kid's the one that's bearing the punishment here. He doesn't control the paperwork. He doesn't control the approval process. They're just there, right? And anybody that says, "Oh, well, the kid's driving this move," is he signing the lease? Is he doing all that stuff? No, the adults are. And we know a lot more really dumb parents than we know really smart ones. Okay, and God forbid the fact that I mean, we have to put on free physicals at schools just so kids can get their physical because the parents are so stupid and don't do it. Like, think about that. And those are the people that are going to be in charge of making sure a kid's eligible. I mean, you almost have a lot of faith in their ability to fill out paperwork because God forbid they make a doctor's appointment and they actually go to it. I mean, my goodness. So yeah, I think that any punishments and anything moving forward, let's not punish kids for the decisions and choices and processes that adults do. Because right now, the adults just go, "Oh shucks, just not." I mean, that's just. I mean, we're in the kid business, right? And you should always be wanting to find ways to say yes to those kids that are making those efforts, but also, and there's going to be they got to learn their lesson and da, 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 and they got another consequences. Correct. When they make the decision and they are the one that are holding, the ability for something to happen, yes, teach them consequences. But when you are being shared a situation where you can't do anything because you're the kid, we're going to teach them about consequences, and they're going to look and say, well, what are the punishments for my mom and dad here? Nothing. I got to be the one that gets punished. This sucks. Tell me where that makes sense. So again, I just think that there's so much that could be handled in a much more efficient way and with just less ambiguity at times. So yeah, I mean, honestly, that's where I get caught up.
Yeah, there's just so many things that go into those decisions and everything else, and the kids not holding the leash, and the accountability piece. I talked about it with one of our coaches today that a lot of these kids, their problem is they're so afraid to fail because they haven't been allowed to fail, and a lot of this may go into, well, hey buddy, you're not the starter, maybe you need to work a little harder. It's a good life lesson there, but apparently obviously our society has, unfortunately, we've moved beyond that where it's not their fault, it's not your fault, it's not my fault, it's their fault. It's the other people's fault that you're not being successful. It doesn't have anything to do with what went on in the back seat on the dirt road 16 years ago. That doesn't have anything to do with it. It doesn't have anything to do with the fact that your work ethic sucks, your attitude sucks, or anything like that. Or it doesn't have anything to do with the fact that the kid in front of you is just better than you are. No, no, no. Well, you've got to be the star, the sun, the moon, the sky, the stars, everything else that you are in my household, you've got to be to everybody else too. And when you're not, I'm going to fix it to where you are. And we're just going to keep fixing it until we find a place where you are the star, the moon, the sun, everything else to everyone else. And that's a problem. It's created a whole generation, almost two generations of bad workers, bad parents, bad husbands and wives, bad workers. I mean, it's just bad. And if we don't get a handle on it, it's going to be even worse. Which brings me,
Well, we also have a group of parents and people, to be honest with you, one of the lessons that one of the coaches that I was lucky enough to work with for a long time, he always made the point to say that, we gotta stop telling kids they can be anything they put their mind to, right? Because the world needs great janitors, great plumbers, great electricians, great all like just because you try really, really hard at something doesn't mean it's in the cards. You could be the hardest worker in the world. And you know what? Your genetics aren't going to mean you're going to be, the starting quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons, right? So, from my standpoint, we have to be honest with kids. We have to show them what is possible, what is a plausible situation for them, and we got to stop this, just blowing smoke up everybody's ass on a lot of this stuff because I got to be honest with you, it's draining and it's creating a generation of fragile. My mama said I could be anything I put my mind to. You know, let's be realistic. How about that? Let's be realistic and let's set. I mean, we talk about all the time smart goals, right? Let's set those with our kids because if there's one thing a good IEP has, it is smart goals that are laid out and agreed upon with that entire IEP team, right? Because why don't we do that for our Gen X kids? I don't know. Because, we've told little Billy that if he just keeps on working hard, yeah, he could be just like Doug Flutie. Yeah, guys, I don't know if Doug Flutie's the best example of what your next possibility could be. There's not a bunch of Doug Fluties in the NFL anymore. Okay. So let's relax here. We got Diego Pavia that's over here stomping ants in Baltimore. So let's be realistic, okay? And yeah, that's all I got on that.
no truer words ever spoken. Let's be realistic. Let's not, let's channel that energy in a positive manner in a different direction and let you do something that you could be successful at. And all of that is spilling over into our universe as coaches because there are a lot of jobs still open with summer, and I don't mean head jobs, I mean assistant jobs with PE positions tied to them, the golden standard. And I see things that irritate me that are coming out of this generation because these young coaches now are of that generation. And I see things like, I really want to get into high school coaches. I only want to coach in this area and I'm not certified, but I'm willing to take the GACE in PE. No, dog, that ain't how that works. Well, it does now because there's jobs open in PE, so you could probably get one of those jobs. But the other thing that I did not, another thing that has just popped up in my little pea-sized T-Rex brain that I didn't say we would talk about ties into this, and that is these 30 under 30 lists that different people make, and I think they're great. And I don't think that the young coaches understand how these lists come about. And it's generally your head coach sending in or other people. You get a certain number of votes, we tally them up, and those are the guys, blah, 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 blah. I saw more people get butt hurt about not being on a random 30 under 30 coaches. And I don't know if anybody listens to any other episodes other than when you're on here. But when I talk to all these head coaches, over 200 that I've talked to and had on Sun Coaches podcast, and we talk about, do you pay attention to this when you look to hire coaches? Not one single one, whether they were in the Legend Series or they're a modern, young head coach now. Not one goes, well, yeah, I hired that guy because he was on that dude's 30 under 30 list. And I didn't hire this guy because he wasn't on that list. It's that mentality that is a problem. You shouldn't worry about whether your name gets put on Twitterverse or wherever. You need to worry about what people are saying off the mic, what people are saying behind closed doors, what coaches are texting and calling each other. Hey, I got one over here. He's going to be a good one. You need to take a look at him. Stuff like that. That's what you need to be worried about instead of whether or not you made, somebody's, and I'm not knocking those lists. I think they're great. I'm just saying that you can't let that bother you. You just keep doing your work and don't worry about it and don't comment on it and it'll take care of itself. But obviously we now have people joining our business and joining our buildings that they put a lot of stock in what other people think, coach.
Well, that's the thing is if you value what any account might put out about a 30 under 30 or any kind of account like that, I think that again, it's not bad that you value that. What you need to do though is if you're not on that, maybe ask yourself why you weren't put up for that. But maybe it's communication piece with your head coach. Maybe there's growth in all of it. Everybody likes to be thought of in a high regard amongst their peers. There's no doubt about it. But if you're sitting there year 4, 5, 6 in your coaching career and you have been at the same place and you have always coached running backs or receivers or you have just never taken on more responsibility, it's not that you're not a good football coach. It's just maybe you're missing something. Maybe you haven't spread your wings and been connected with enough people that have a solid opinion of you. Because if you were to get fired tomorrow, how many coaches would reach out to you in an off season and say, "Hey man, are you looking? What can I do to get you over? What can I do to get you over here to coach my receivers, to coach my running backs? I'll even slap some bullshit run game coordinator title on there for you. Okay, it's not going to pay anymore, but here you go." I mean, so there is that piece that I think that it's one thing to be on those lists, and I think that those lists are great and they serve a purpose to a certain degree, and it definitely gives some guys an opportunity to be recognized in an appropriate way. But I also would caution anybody that gets upset about that. It shows your immaturity and it shows that you're not ready to be recognized because you're obviously going to let that shit go to your head, and you're obviously going to take that and be like, I've already arrived. You know how many coaches, 300 game winners and 200 game winners, do you want to know if they ever were on a 30 under 30 list? Guess what? They weren't. And I think they turned out just fine. So, it's not that deep.
Ain't no doubt, and that's that. And it's what you're going to do is you're going to piss off the people that make those 30 under 30 lists because it's not like they have better things to do. I mean, they're helping you out. They're trying to get people some recognition. You can't recognize everybody. Everybody don't get a trophy. Shocking. And I know generations now believe that everybody's a winner, but no, I'm sorry, everybody can't win, and everybody doesn't get recognized, and whatever. That's just the nature of the beast. You just keep putting your head. If you're doing it for the right reasons, you're doing it for kids. None of that matters anyway. Doing it for the right reasons, rowing the boat, burn the boats. Coach, there's buzzwords that were said today, and there's going to be some said tomorrow and the rest of the week. So, what do you think is going to be some of the most cliche things that were said today? If you had to guess, what do you think was said the most today?
Well, I mean, 1% better's got to be, it had to be uttered by so many coaches today that you just honestly roll your eyes at this point. I mean, let's be honest, that's definitely what was said, right? Like, I mean, 1% better, or iron sharpens iron. Did you beat your week one opponent today, right? I think that a lot of people maybe embrace the suck, right? That one's coming back around. A lot of hard work that pays off in some way, shape, or form is going to also make its return in a bunch of different ways. It's not always going to be just hard work pays off. There's going to be creative ways that people want to motivate and talk to different people, different kids, and all that other stuff. But yeah, there's just too many cliches to count at this point.
Coach, what you got to do is you got to stack days. You got to stack days. You got to chop wood and carry water, and we're gonna burn the boats when we get there. I mean, that's just the bottom line. And if you're not with us, you're against us. I mean, it's just as simple as that.
And row the boat, man. Row the boat. Row the boat. Grab the line, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you're not doing those things, if you're not saying those things, you're not a real football coach. I mean, let's be honest. Now, granted, they're cliche for a reason. People say, I just thought it was funny when you put it out there and did all that. Well, coach, what you got going on this week?
Just probably, I've the people at Alabama have definitely come to find the account and really have been shocked at some of the, I guess, content at times or things that I might put out. Again, I think that very similar to the initial impact of the fired coaches in Georgia, back early on. in September and October where people are like, well, is what he's putting out actually true, or is it just him making stuff up? They all figured out at some point that about 99% of it's true, and then 1% is going to be included some satire and some tongue in cheek humor. So they're starting to play along over there, and really it's all revolving around the inefficiency and ineffectiveness of their athletic association when it comes to how they organize and run their investigations. And what just recently got brought to my attention from three different individuals over there is right now they've got coaches that are basically setting up some entrapment for coaches and recording conversations and putting kids up to try to catch coaches recruiting their kids. And boy, I want to tell you the ethical lines that are being crossed by some of these people is wild to me. So, they definitely have some issues that they got to work out, but ultimately, I'm to the point with all of it where, again, if you have a problem with a coach, pick up the phone, call them, and say, hey, this is what I've heard. My kid said that you had an assistant coach reach out. If you don't like the response, send it up the food chain and let them handle it. But try to handle it amongst yourselves, be adults, set a good example, and understand that the entrapment thing, that you, that's a quick way to get blackballed in my mind. So, I think anybody who would now again, you're utilizing a kid here, you're manipulating a kid to do this. So again, you should probably be on a child predator watch list because you're obviously just a complete piece of shit and have a wild sense of what's right and wrong. So I think that there's definitely a lot to unpack there. But as for anything else going on this week, it's I'm going to go where the wind blows this week. So send me anything you got, and I'll chase it down and see if we can't ruffle any feathers.
Well, the GACA Battle at the Rock at Rock Eagle offensive line camp is this weekend. We're dropping our bunch off on Friday. They do a great job there. It's a continuous kind of a continuation of the one that used to be at Middle Georgia that Coach Hodges used to run, and Lance and Rhett do a great job with that, and all the other coaches that work the camp. A lot of great instruction, a lot of time going on there. So I know that's going on this weekend. I'm gonna start adding this as a feature every week. I'll have a calendar of events if anybody wants to get with me and put things out there. I'd like to remind everybody that on June the 19th, Walnut Grove is having their Walnut Grove golf tournament at Bear Creek. If you'd like to register, go to walnutgrovefootball.com. Good little track. I played there. The Loganville had their tournament there one time. I played there. It was great. Football starts for me tomorrow. Well, it'll be today when people hear this podcast, but I'd like to thank everybody for listening. Encourage you to like, share, and subscribe, and to remember, it's just satire.